قصف يا شباب، خذونا على الهواء.
أنا عم بتمتع. خليك على الأرض، خليك على الأرض، خليك على
قصف جديد يا شباب، قصف جديد. ما بنهيئ الأركان خالص.
On July 16, 2025, the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, carried out a series of rare and high-profile airstrikes in central Damascus, including areas near the Defense Ministry, military headquarters, and the presidential palace. The targeted sites were described by Israeli officials as command centers supporting Syrian military operations against Druze communities in southern Syria. Escalations stem from sectarian clashes in Syria's Sweida region, where Druze militias engaged in violent conflict with Sunni Bedouin tribes and Syrian government forces. The violence reportedly resulted in over 250 deaths and hundreds of injuries. Israel stated the strikes were intended to protect the Druze minority, many of whom have strong ties to Israeli Druze communities, and to prevent Syrian forces from reinforcing positions near the Golan Heights. Join in 1970s, Dokermam to Dashti Airwad. Syrian state media reported at least 3 people killed and 34 wounded in Damascus-based strikes. Damage was concentrated at the Defense Ministry entrance and areas surrounding the presidential palace. Meanwhile, the violence in Sweida resulted in hundreds of fatalities, including civilians and fighters. Estimates vary, with some reports citing 169 to 300 deaths. Organizations like the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Syria and UN officials warn that such escalation threatens civilian life and the prospects for a peaceful transition.
Israel takes its attacks against the new Syrian regime to a new level, striking the center of Damascus. The country's defense ministry hit multiple times, along with the presidential palace. Israel showing the new Syrian regime it's prepared to flex its military might. Israel started airstrikes against Syrian government forces as Syria deployed its troops to intervene in violent clashes between local Bedouin clans and militia from the Syrian Druze community near the southern city of Sweida. Up to 300 people have reportedly been killed. The Netanyahu government says it's acting to protect the Druze religious minority, a small but influential Arab sect in both Syria and Israel.
We are acting to save our brothers.
But Syria's new regime, led by Islamist militant turned President Ahmed al-Shara, is accusing Israel of an opportunistic attack after decades of Syrian civil war.
Israel is seeking to transform our land into an arena of endless chaos.
The fighting spurred Druze in Israel and the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights to rush the border fence with Syria in solidarity, hundreds storming through in an apparent attempt to convince Israel to go further in its attacks.
It's stretching late into the evening here, and there are still hundreds of people gathered here at the fence line waiting for the return of those members of the Druze community who forced their way through into Syria earlier. Every time a group returns to this side of the fence, they are greeted with cheers as they're welcomed back.
I met my brother, whom I've not seen for more than 50 years.
Across the border, Syrian government troops are now withdrawing from the south. A fragile ceasefire appears to be holding, but long-held grievances here remain.
Dozens of Israeli Druze have breached the border into Syria, crossing the demarcation line in the Israeli-annexed Golan Heights. In the chaos, violence broke out, fires started, and the IDF deployed tear gas towards the crowds. Israeli Druze community leaders had called on them to pressure Israeli forces to intervene in the deadly sectarian clashes in Syria's southern city of Sweida. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told them to go home and let the IDF do its job.
My fellow Israeli Druze citizens, the situation in Sweida, the situation in southern Syria is very serious. The IDF is operating, the Air Force is operating, other forces are operating. We are working to save the Druze community and to eliminate the terrorist threats. And now I have one request of you. You are citizens of Israel. Do not cross the border.
On Wednesday, the Israeli army demonstrated its heavy hand. It bombed the Syrian regime's military headquarters and said it struck a target near the presidential palace in Damascus. It also released footage claiming to show strikes on Syrian tanks, rocket launchers and pickup trucks. Israel's defense minister suggested they may just be getting started.
The warnings in Damascus have ended. Now painful blows will come. The IDF will continue to operate forcefully in Sweida to destroy the forces that attacked the Druze until their complete withdrawal.
Druze are a small religious minority estimated to have more than 1 million people in Syria, Lebanon, Jordan and Israel, where there is a concentration of some 150,000, with many serving in the Israeli army. However, the IDF operations in Syria also align with its broader goals of securing its northern border and demilitarising the area south of Damascus.
Al-Shara claimed that the Israelis resorted to a wide-scale targeting of civilian and government facilities that would have pushed matters to a large-scale escalation. Al-Shara added that the effective intervention of American, Arab and Turkish mediation saved the region from an unknown fate. Israel launched strikes in the heart of Damascus, an escalation in a campaign that it said was intended to defend the Druze and push Islamic militants away from its borders. Al-Shara said Israel sought to break Syrian unity and turn the country into a theatre of chaos, but that Syrians were rejecting division.
We were faced with two choices: open war with Israel at the expense of our Druze community and Syria's stability, or allowing Druze leaders and elders to return to reason and prioritize national interest over those who seek to tarnish the reputation of the honorable people of the mountain. We do not fear war. We have spent our lives confronting challenges and defending our people, but we chose the path of Syrian interest over chaos and destruction.
Druze in Israel risked their lives to cross the border to help the effort. This person said, Druze crossing from Israel into Syria to defend their people. The Druze are an ancient people with about 1 million in the world. Most live in Syria. They have been terrorized by Islamic radicals for decades. ISIS turned some of their women into sex slaves. Godspeed. The media was also in for a scare whilst documenting the unfolding events. This presenter was dramatically forced off the air after an explosion rocked behind her. And again, this Al Jazeera reporter was rocked by a thunderous explosion behind him.
شباب في عندنا قصف شباب قصف يا شباب خذونا على الهواء شباب قصف بسرعة يا شباب خذونا على اللايف.
But the media has been blasted for their reporting on this issue, with many condemning the biased anti-Israel take. This commentator said, Druze in Israel protest, strike and even attempt to cross into Syria, calling on Israel to step in and defend their Druze brothers across the border. And whilst the Druze fight for their existence, people are questioning where all of the pro-Palestinian activists are. Commentator Ollie London blasted the silence of the group, saying, when Christians are massacred in Nigeria, where are the Free Palestine activists? Silent. When Rohingya Muslims are slaughtered in Myanmar, where are the Free Palestine activists? Silent. When Druze are slaughtered in Syria, where are the Free Palestine activists?